Welcome
That's a weak
back
one.
to the Lost Leisures. I am Shawn, I guess, host, though Maddie's been here as often as I have. And these are my guests. I have Adam below me
Hi, that's me.
and Zach below further.
Hello.
And we get together every week to talk about homebrew and D&D 5e. This week, we were going into something that we had been discussing since our very first episode, and that's feats. Specifically, though, we wanted to spice up and be a little bit more constrained. So we chose to do racial feats. We constrained ourselves even further and chose only races that do not already have racial feats. So go ahead and kick back and listen to us rib each other for some of our choices, or just show general support, like good friends do. Cowards, you dare talk about feet without Kurt being here? Thank you, Justin, for your contribution to the intro. All right, let's. Does anybody want to say anything before we start getting into things here?
I would like to point out that Zach misunderstood what we were supposed to be doing until about 2 hours ago. So just bear that in mind when we're looking at whatever Zach came up with.
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by at least the second one.
Okay, well,
the second one.
well, we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. So it looks like we're starting with mine, if everybody's ready. So the first feat that I came up with this week is called Punishing Pursuit. This is available to any player who is using the Hobgoblin race. Many Hobgoblins are used to punishing cowardice on the warpath, but you truly excel at it. You gain the following benefits. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you add your proficiency bonus to the damage for the attack. After you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you can move up to half your speed in a straight line towards the creature. And that's it.
Damn.
That's all there is to it.
Nice.
Damn.
It's a way to make opportunity attacks better without using Sentinel in particular. I like Sentinel a lot, don't get me wrong. Love Sentinel, love anything that makes opportunity attacks a little bit more punishing, but I thought it'd be interesting to play in a slightly different space.
Yeah, I think this art has a little bit of synergy too with the one of the Hobgoblin features, the saving face, where if they miss an attack roll, they can get a bonus to the attack roll equal to the number of allies they can see.
Right, yeah.
So like they can use that to their benefit here. They get a bonus to their attack roll and then also a bonus to the damage. I think this plays in exactly where you want it to. Opportunity attacks I think are often enough. We're getting a benefit on that is pretty good for a feat, especially since you get 2 benefits off of it.
Yeah, and then just pairing this with something like Sentinel would be like even nicer. I like the idea of adding a proficiency to the damage. It's a pretty nice addition.
It's a little bit of a non-bow with Sentinel, because if you hit them with the opportunity attack with Sentinel, they can't move anymore, so your movement gets wasted on this. But, I mean, I think this would pair really well with Polearm Master.
Ooh.
Or both. Or if you're a Hobgoblin with a long arm, you can chase someone down with your Sentinel.
I was debating whether or not I wanted to go for this or giving bugbears something that let them do opportunity attacks at range instead of just attacks on their turn.
Yeah, only problem I would have with that is bugbears already have the reach thing that they get.
But that's only on their turn.
Right, but that's for bugbears though, and that would that's Hobgoblins the ability.
No, sorry. What I meant was I was debating whether I was going to do this thing for Hobgoblins or letting bugbears do an opportunity attack with reach.
I was 100% considering giving bugbears something. Bugbears are kind of cool. I kind of dig bugbears. They're pretty neat.
I agree. I've got a soft spot for bugbears, and that's not just because of their long arms.
I can honestly say I didn't think about bugbears one time in the making of these.
Well, bugbears didn't think about you either, Zach.
It's fine. They probably have gross thoughts.
What? I will say that Hobgoblins, the least interesting goblinoid, in my opinion. The least interesting. I think they try too hard to be like warlord human orc types. I think the goblins and bugbears are so much more cool, in my opinion.
I'm not sure if I like goblins or hobgoblins more. I definitely think bugbears are my favorite goblinoid, but I could go either way on hobgoblins versus goblins, depending on the day.
I can't sympathize with that. Goblins are far superior to hobgoblins to me.
Okay, that's fair.
Are a bit of meh to me. See, I was ahead of the curve, cowards. Hobgoblins hate cowards.
I mean, that's
just because
that's
you
true.
say coward a lot.
Yeah, also, I call you a coward all the time, Justin. Like,
my opinion's wrong, so I should feel wrong. What's the right opinion in this situation? Do you think that hobgoblins are the best goblinoid? Because if that's the case, you're just the worst.
I was gonna say, no one in this room is arguing that hobgoblins are the best goblinoid, Justin. Like, if that's the argument you want to bring, you'd better wait until you're on camera to bring it, because I think we've got a lot to say to you about hobgoblins.
The one thing that I would change about this is just the wording. I think normally when there's like an effect that's like after you do something, they always add immediately after.
I wasn't sure about that, and actually, in one of my other feats, I do use the immediately verb. That's not a verb. What the fuck am I talking about? The immediately linking word, but I didn't use it here. That's a fair point. I didn't know if there was a feature that existed that was like this already, so I wasn't sure if I had something that I could base it off of, where you're doing something on another creature's turn, but after you've done something else. Also, I wanted it to be timed such that you make the move after they've finished their turn. So it's like, they start moving, you get an opportunity attack in, they do whatever else they're going to do, and then you move towards them.
Yeah.
Because I wanted them to be able to finish their movement so that you can take full advantage of the fact that you're sort of closing the distance to them.
Yeah. I think this is pretty straightforward. It's it's just a pure buff to an existing mechanic. The fact that it's unique to hobgoblins is I think adds a lot of intention to its design, even though it's a pretty generic, all things considered, ability. It's it does more damage on opportunity attacks specifically. You can move in opportunity attacks, but because it's part of the a racial feat, it's this tells me a lot more about hobgoblins.
It definitely feels hobgoblin-y.
Yeah, definitely. All right,
I like it.
So the thing that I was thinking of, and this was something that I was thinking of with all three of the feats I designed this week, is this the right power level, or do you think this could have been a half feat?
I think this is
on par.
Okay.
I think, in my opinion,
might use one small more thing.
You think it needs one little ribbon? I was
because
thinking
the
that
second
this
half
was
of it, the moving is not quite up to par with a lot of stuff that I feel like you get on feats. It's nice, but it's not 10 extra feet in general on mobile.
What I was going for was about the versatility of I don't know. I'm thinking one of the middle third of feats, the feats that are, nobody is talking crap about them, but they aren't sharpshooter, great weapon master. I was going more for the power level of something I don't know, mobile or elemental mastery, something that's definitely good but niche enough that not everyone wants it. Yeah,
I think it's fine as it is, but I think it wouldn't hurt if you added one more little thing. If you wanted to experiment with that, I think you would get away with something else, 5 feet, or something like that, something small.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's fine as is as well.
Well, and honestly, I think it's a good thing for there to be different power levels among the feats. I don't think it should be quite as wide as it is right now, with the difference between, say, linguist and sharpshooter. But I do think that it's fine that there's a tier level. I just don't think it should be this.
Yeah.
Or weapon mastery.
Yeah, there you go. You can see both of my hands now. That's about as far apart as I can get them, where you can see both of them.
I as just to point out in the chat, I was going to say is I think this is on par with other racial feats. There's not a lot of OP racial feats. There's a couple. Elven Accuracy is really good. And what's another really good racial feat? Bountiful Luck's really good.
I was going to say Bountiful Luck.
But then like there's also then squat nimbleness. I think this is about on par with something like squat nimbleness, honestly.
Yeah, but the name of that just like is way better. So
I like punishing pursuit.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
All right. I think I think we're able to move on from this one, right? I think
we've got like what we've got 8 feats to cover today. Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about today, so we should move on.
We gotta get trucking. All right. I think mine's next. Oh no, it's not yours. Okay.
All right. Yeah, if you want to talk about plain named abilities, here we go. Mine's imposing build for Goliaths. You become proficient in how to carry yourself. You gain the following benefits: increase your strength, constitution, or charisma score by 1 up to a maximum of 20. You gain advantage on intimidation checks, and you gain advantage on athletics checks when trying to grapple a creature, large or smaller.
All right. So the only thing on this one that sticks out to me that I'm like, is the advantage on intimidation checks. Why not just give them expertise on intimidation checks? Why advantage?
I wasn't sure what the increment of like addition to something like this should be, honestly.
So one thing that I might add that I think would make this feel very Goliath is how about letting them add their constitution modifier to their intimidation checks? Like make it intimidation skill plus con plus charisma. That's a bonus for sure, but it's not quite as big as advantage or expertise.
I like that better. So like when I was originally thinking of what we had to do for this, like I said, I thought it was something where you had to change like a Goliath's powerful build where you carry to something else. So in doing that, I was thinking of the gnomes getting advantage on magical saving throws, I think it is, or magical effects. And I was like, that matches advantage intimidation for like that kind of swap. But since this is an extra feat, I like the Constitution edition better, honestly.
So the reason I call out the advantage thing is that usually when a feature gives advantage on a check or saving throw or an attack roll, it's under certain circumstances. Even with the gnome, it's only against magical effects, right? They don't get saves against like a concussion, for instance. They might have to make like an intelligence save for to like not be stupid or something. There's very rare situations where you have to make a wisdom, charisma, or intelligence check where it's not magical, but it is a specific stipulation. And that's I don't know how often there are abilities that don't have like either a stipulation or a resource cost that gives you some sort of advantage. That's why I think expertise might fit here. I'm not a big fan of the con thing because that's very calling for con specific checks is something that's kind of left to like the circumstance called by the DM. I know it's not exactly the same as swapping your charisma for your con, but getting a bonus of another stat to a skill, I don't know if that's been precedented in anything in 5e. I can't think of besides initiative. I can't think of any ability checks. Maybe not ability checks, but any skills like flat, just skill bonus.
I can't think of any skills where it's been done, but I mean, like you said, it is an ability check. Like there's precedent in initiative, so.
Yeah, but initiative is it's not a skill. It's a very specific ability check. That one's like initiative's almost its own separate feature beyond ability checks and attack rolls and saving throws in the game.
I'm saying that the precedent of like the swashbuckler adding charisma to their initiative means that it's mechanically okay. I'm not sure if it's in keeping with the philosophy, but as we've established, I'm probably the least, well, at least between the two of us, like me and Shawn, I'm the less concerned with in keeping with philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against breaking the philosophy. I just think that if there is another way of doing this that isn't breaking the philosophy, why break the philosophy? And I think that expertise accomplishes that.
I'd be fine with expertise. It's a good middle ground of whether you have like, because if you have less good constitution, it's better. If you have better constitution, it's worse. So like,
I think expertise is totally fine here. I just think that having it specifically be adding your constitution to intimidation checks, it gets across the fiction of imposing build. Like you're so beefy and burly that you are like adding your physical presence to your charisma check for intimidation.
See, and I think it actually limits that fantasy because you can get that fantasy with the charisma or your strength as well. And by making it specifically con makes it limit that fantasy because like I have to focus on my con for this to be as valuable as another feat that gives me expertise or getting like a level in rogue or something even.
I mean, then why not say whenever you make an intimidation check, you can choose to add either your strength modifier or constitution modifier to the roll.
Because then then there's still a more straightforward way of addressing this exact thing you're trying to make, and that's just with expertise.
Right, but I think that even though it's less elegant still, the choose strength or con and add it to your intimidation checks does a better job, I think, of preserving the fiction of I am strong and that makes me good at intimidating people. Expertise just means that you're adding your proficiency twice. You could have expertise in intimidation and still be a weak, sickly Goliath. You could have low strength and con scores. You could be a Goliath warlock or something with expertise on intimidation with this feat. But you couldn't be a Goliath warlock who dumped strength and con for some reason if you say that you're adding one of those modifiers to the intimidation check. I think that expertise is a perfectly cromulent way to solve this problem. I'm just... Devil's advocate isn't even quite right here. I just want to, lay out my argument for... Maybe you could use con or strength in addition. That feels cool to me. I understand your argument against it, though.
I think I would go with Shawn on this one and just give it expertise because I kind of already give it in there to have the feel of you can make it strength, con, or charisma by adding the +1 to it.
Sure. Well, and then you've got advantage on grappling, so that gets across the beefiness well, too. I don't think it's wrong to make this expertise. I just wanted to lay out the argument.
Does the second half of this ability seem fine? I wasn't sure if that was too much.
Yeah, I think it's specific enough. Grapple is a pretty defining skill for a lot of martial builds. Goliath is definitely a defining race for martial builds, so it kind of doubles down on what people are going to be building on anyway. It might make that a little strong, but there's a lot of ways for them to get bonuses on athletics anyway. And a fighter, for instance, doesn't get expertise without taking another feat. And I think in this situation, unlike the imitation checks, this is a specific circumstance in which you get the advantage, as opposed to just you have advantage in athletics checks.
Yeah.
Which I think is not better, or just
I know what you mean.
More consistent with the game, yeah, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I don't remember.
I think change it to expertise, and as long as you guys like the advantage on athletics, I'm happy with this one.
Yeah, I think the advantage on grapple checks is perfect as is. I don't think that needs editing.
I agree, and I think it goes. I think it perfectly in suit with the powerful build trait that Goliath is. They can carry double as much, and because of that, they're better at handling things that are effectively the same size as them, which large creatures effectively are, even though Goliaths.
That's why I kept it at larger.
They're medium and a half.
Plus, most things are, I think, large to smaller. So, this was to make a different one for the carrying weight.
Okay, so you were planning on just swapping for powerful build. Okay, I see. So your other one will be a little bit more feat flavored.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you did. I think
a
lot of the racial feats could be in theory a swap of original things. So it's not that much to take that jump. That's actually an interesting idea. If you had players you want to swap out your other racial abilities for this racial feat, assuming that's right. Object. Obviously, don't take Bountiful Luck if you don't have Lucky. That doesn't make any sense. But
right,
that is an interesting idea. I like that.
Yeah,
I think this is good. I like it.
Yeah,
I could totally take this as a Goliath, 100%.
I like it a lot. Honestly, one thing that before I read all of it, I was like, really? You're giving them a choice of 3 ability scores? Why not just make it any? But like, after reading it more, it definitely makes sense why you would do it this way. Although, actually, Con does feel a little out of place here, since Con can't be used for intimidation or athletics.
I just figured Con, you think of hardy guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Strength, you think of strong people. So Con seemed to fit for me just for it. Plus, a lot of the ones in Xanathar's pick 3 different
okay.
stat or scores that you can increase.
Totally fair then. Yeah.
The only thing that I might change is the wording.
We know you're going to change all the wording, Shawn.
Is remove the word proficient from the flavor text, because that could confuse some players.
Proficient does have like a specific meaning, and also you spelled it wrong. So,
hey man, I got to talk about this stuff on the podcast. Otherwise, if we get a big enough fan base, people will call us out for not talking about this stuff on the podcast. All right, people will be like, I feel like they should have addressed this point. But yeah, we can move on to the next one, which I think is mine this time. Nope, it's Justin's. All right.
Well, since yours will probably be up next, I'll read Justin's here.
Go ahead.
Amphibious persistence. Prerequisite for the Triton. Prerequisite for the Triton? Fuck. No. The prerequisite is
be a Triton, damn it.
The prerequisite is that you are a Triton. Increase your strength, con, or charisma score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Makes sense so far. Those are the 3 ability scores that Tritons get bonuses to. When fighting underwater, you no longer have disadvantage on any melee weapon attack, regardless of the weapon. Okay. You regain the use of control, air, and wind on a short rest instead of a long rest, and creatures that make saving throws against these spells have disadvantage.
That's a lot. Holy shit.
Okay, so the
niche.
Not having disadvantage on weapon attacks when underwater is pretty damn niche. There are very, very few and far between are the situations where your DM is going to put you in an underwater fight without you knowing ahead of time and having time to prepare for it. It's definitely still good, and it makes sense for the Triton. They live and train underwater. Why shouldn't they be able to use their short swords or whatever? You regain the use of control, air, and wind back on a short rest instead of a long rest. That is the more powerful of the 2 here, I think. What does the control, air, and wind feature actually give you exactly?
It allows you to cast Fog Cloud, Gust of Wind, and Wall of Water.
But you gain access to those spells at different levels, right? So you have Fog Cloud from level 1. You get
Gust at 3 and Wall of Water at 5th.
So at 5th level, casting Wall of Water once per short rest, I honestly don't think that's too much. I think that's probably fine. Because none of those spells... I mean, Fog Cloud's good. They're all solid spells. But I don't think any of them are really, like, slam dunks here. Probably not even spells that you want every combat, even if you have them available. So having them available, not every, but most combats, I think isn't really going to be game-breaking here. I think this is, if anything, maybe a little on the weak side. But it's a half feat with a lot of options, and while it's quite niche, it's definitely versatile in that you get more of those racial spells, and if you are in a situation where you're fighting underwater, you as the Triton get to really, really shine over the rest of your party.
The only thing about this that I'm not a huge fan of is the innate disadvantage on the saves against the spells. Again, it's another thing where it's like there's no specific circumstance of granting this disadvantage. It's just a flat, whenever you cast these spells, you get disadvantage. It is limited to just those 3 spells, which is a circumstance, but that just doesn't seem... It doesn't spell a specific fantasy to me.
What about creatures that make saving throws against those spells have disadvantage if they are swimming or submerged in water?
I was going to say a similar thing. Either swimming or flying, I was going to say. Because the Gust of Wind is also one of these things.
Right, yeah.
And I think Gust of Wind might be the only one that actually has a save. Yes. It is.
Wall of Water doesn't make them save for anything?
Wall of Water
No,
doesn't?
Wall of Water just creates a wall that they can go through or not. There's no save involved whatsoever during the spell's description.
Okay, so you're only affecting Gust of Wind with this. Yeah, I think that some kind of flavorful restriction on which creatures it applies to, whether that be swimming or flying or something like that, I think that would...
It's Gust of Wind.
I was going to suggest something different, and could be stronger, but again, these are very niche spells, is just doubling their size of effect. Make Fog Cloud twice as big. Make Gust of Wind twice as long. Make the Water Wall twice as long or high or whatever. Just like you can multiply any of the dimensions of the spell by 2. You can double it in any one of the dimension that you want.
I
like that effect. My concern here is that I don't think there's any precedent in 5e for changing the shape of a thing. I mean, again, I'm not exactly married to the idea of existing 5e philosophy. I'm just not certain of how you would word that in a way that is intuitive and does not leave room for finagling with things that have multiple dimensions like Wall of Water does.
It could be a bit fiddly, I agree. I don't even think the sorcerer even has anything that necessarily affects the area. I don't think.
I don't think that they do, because it feels like that would be a pretty easy thing to toss into sorcerer. Like, oh, your circles are twice as big, your cones are twice as long, but they don't have any meta magic like that.
There is an easy way to overcome this. Just cast a spell twice instead of once.
But making 2 circles of equal radius is not the same as doubling their radius, Shawn.
That is true, but I think it fulfills like the same kind of idea.
What if instead of just do those spells benefit from being upcast? What if you got to upcast them instead?
Fog Cloud does, but that's the only one. And now that I think about it, I think all of them are concentration, so you can't double cast them anyway. So I just want I get the idea of giving a disadvantage. You want to empower the spell in a way, but I think there's a more interesting way of doing that doesn't make it feel like again it's just a like imposition that isn't earned. Like I said, a lot of other things that grant advantage or give disadvantage, there's some circumstance that you must come to that gives you those things.
Yeah, I think looking at this, the only reason that I thought it was so much is because of the flat disadvantage at the end that was given. Because it does seem weak now looking at it. Like if any of those spells were like heavy damaging, like dex saves or anything like that, flat disadvantage is a lot. But
they're all very niche spells.
Yeah, getting them back on a short rest is not enough by itself either.
Yeah, and I like getting back to short rest. I like the no disadvantage underwater thing. Maybe are there other things that we can do with being underwater to make that stronger?
That's what I was thinking, like swim speed.
I think they already have a swim speed.
They already have a swim speed. Yeah,
no, just increasing their swim speed. Since they already have it.
That could be something. Maybe.
Yeah, that could be something.
What if your swim speed increases to 40?
Yeah. Just like mobile doing 10 feet of swim speed. I don't know if that even makes up for it. It still makes it very niche. Like this would be like in a great water campaign or something.
I think that if you take away the saving throws have disadvantage line and just add 10 feet of swim speed, that's probably fine.
Can you swim in a wall of water?
I don't see why not.
Let me look at the description of Wall of Water real quick.
I like that because then, well, how far does it go? Because if it doesn't go far enough.
Range. Wall of Water 60-foot range, and it covers a 30-foot long, 10-foot high, 1-foot thick wall, or a ring wall around you. Yeah, you can swim through it. The wall's space is difficult terrain. That's the only thing it says. But again, it's only 1 foot thick, so
yeah.
Not much room to be swimming there.
Yeah.
No. I think this is just a niche racial ability in general.
Yeah, I think this is just niche enough that it's going to be hard to make it feel powerful without tacking on a bunch of unrelated stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why they try and get so many other things as well. The 3 stat increase. I guess they don't get that much more of the stuff besides the breathing
No.
and water. The stat increases are fine.
They can speak to sea animals.
I think just water, like.
Oh, they also have dark vision now. They didn't used to, but they do now.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, they errataed the Triton to give it dark vision.
That makes sense. I mean,
and resistance to cold damage.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I think Tritons in general are just a niche race for a specific type of campaign. Usually,
they kind of are. I as much as I love the Triton, it's hard to make a Triton fit in a world that was not conceived with Tritons in mind.
Yeah, I mean, they are literally a fish out of water in any campaign that's not in water.
Yeah, definitely.
I think add the swim speed, and this is a good feat for a Triton, but not strong. But it would be really good in a campaign theming that way.
I think that this would be a phenomenal feat for a Triton if you're running a game where the DM is just like, oh, hey, everybody gets a free feat at level 1. Like, if you're trying to run a higher powered game where people get to get their builds online earlier, I think this is an awesome feat for a Triton to take at level 1 because it lets you really get your mileage out of those lower level spells when you're casting them at every short rest. Like, I mean, hell, Fog Cloud multiple times a day with, like, no resource expenditure, that's pretty damn good. Like,
your party might hate you, but yeah. That's the big problem with, like, Fog Clouds, that your party can get pretty fucked by it.
Yeah.
All of the spells that they get are pretty, like...
I like giving them back on a short rest, though.
Chase-oriented, almost, as opposed to battle-oriented.
Kind of, yeah. Actually, try really shine with those free spells if you're playing a nautical campaign. Like, I was playing in a game where we were running Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and playing a Triton pirate is fucking awesome. Like, it's so good. But playing a Triton on land lose some of the charm.
Yeah. I think there's some stuff we could finagle on this one. I think the swim speed could help. I already like the short rest thing. I think that's good enough. The only other thing I think of is possibly giving it more spells that they get back in a long rest instead. But at that point, it's just like you're basically turning the Triton into another spellcaster class.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, like we said, the Triton's abilities are already pretty niche. Besides dark vision and cold resistance, it's a pretty niche race to choose unless you're doing like a water-based campaign, which, I mean, that's a thing. A lot of people do that. So if you go into a campaign knowing that like that's going to be useful and you're making a Triton, then it's like, this is a great feat to pick up.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the if you add the 10 swim to it, that just kind of goes with the fighting underwater without disadvantages. Like, you're just better in the water. Like, you're a Triton that's not only good in the water, but you're better in the water.
I might even give it 10 feet more swim speed and just make it so that innately you just don't provoke attacks of opportunity while swimming.
Ooh. That's good.
Because it's still niche, but...
What about, no, that wouldn't play well if you're already a rogue.
Add that to what's already on it.
You don't provoke attacks of opportunity.
That seems a little piled on, but also it's all so niche that...
It's niche enough, and it's only underwater combat, and that's good. That's definitely good.
That does make it a very, very, like, I want this feat if I'm going underwater.
I think that if...
Which I think is part of the point, amphibious persistence, right? Like, you kind of...
Yeah. I'd be cool with that.
I think if I'm playing a Triton, I want to be a force to reckon with underwater more than on land.
Yeah, I could... Honestly, you take this feat as a Triton, and you're going to be looking for excuses to be attacking people from the water. You're going to be looking for, wait, no, we'll attack them from the river, you push them into the water, I'll be waiting for them there, like, you know...
I actually like that a lot.
Planning, tactics, like, I think that's just good enough to make you want to seek out, like, amphibious fights. I like that a lot.
Because then you're turning the like niche water fights into you're trying to force them to happen more often any way you can. I think that does make me interested in this, like full-heartedly taking it if you add that.
Yeah. I'd still want to get rid of the disadvantage because I already like the short rest on long rest thing already, but I think adding the additional movement and the kind of underwater disengage would be pretty nice.
Yeah, I like all this.
All right. I think we have some finagling to do with this one, but I do like where it's coming from.
Absolutely,
and what we could do with it.
Nice work, Justin.
Good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the next one, which has to be mine now. Yes. Okay. So this is Grimalkin Pounce. Which for the Tabaxi. You use your feline movements to more effectively hunt your prey once per turn. If you move at least 20 feet on a turn before hitting a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can cause the attack to deal extra damage to the target equal to proficiency bonus. The extra damage dealt is doubled if you use your feline agility this turn. Alternatively, if the target is a creature no more than one size larger than you, you can forego the extra damage to instead force it to make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. If you've used your feline agility this turn, it is also grappled by you if it fails its save. And that's it.
I love this. This is so awesome. Although you did type the word "your" twice in front of strength.
Fuck! So I was editing this and I was like, why is because I had it, I used to say, if you used your feline agility, I edited that. It's like, why are there so many yours in this? And I missed one. God damn it.
No, other than that typo, I just love this. I think this is awesome. Like, yeah, I'm not sure I even have any critiques here. This is...
I wanted to specifically take a racial ability and just expand upon it and give it more uses beyond what it already has. Kind of like what Justin did with the short rest, long rest thing, or you had, I think one of the other feats, maybe we haven't gone over it yet, had something like that, but I don't recall. I only like skimmed through them all. But yeah, I just wanted like that the picture, like big cats, they pounce. This thing they do. And in the book, the monsters, they do them. I was like, I wanted some variation on that, to be able to use the fact that the Tabaxi is so fast to their advantage. Because like you could, in this situation, you can use feline agility in more ways than just running away, which is the main reason to use it. You can use this to like run circles around your enemy and like catch them from behind and stuff, and like get benefits from that. And I just like the idea of you running in and using that speed to your advantage, kind of like the Charger feat, but not quite.
Yeah, I like this, giving me the idea of like a lion pouncing as well. Just in general, like you're lying in wait, like even waiting a turn because you haven't moved. Like if you go first, they move around you because they're like not sure what you're gonna do, and then you can do this, and then you get to do extra stuff with it because you waited that turn. It gives you like more benefits to it besides just running away. No, I like the way this fits in my head for like theming and everything.
I also really love the choice between doing a chunk of extra damage, because like at level 1 we're talking like 4 damage, at level 20 we're talking like 12 damage. That's not nothing. Even at level 20, 12 damage is not nothing. But like I like having the choice of, you can either make it an especially ferocious attack, or you can push more effort into knocking them down. Like I like that a lot.
Yeah, and there is a small quirk with this in that you could, in theory, move, attack a creature, and then attack a different creature immediately after, and then apply the damage to that if you've already moved 20 feet, instead of the one that you immediately just moved to. But I was like, that seems like specific enough that I don't really mind too much.
Well, and also
the player's going to be more motivated to just do it on the first creature they hit anyway. I don't think they're going to be doing that most of the time. They're going to be wanting to just do it on the first creature they attack regardless, because that's
never know.
Target.
And even if you don't do it to the first creature that you attack, you could just sort of flavor that first hit as like sort of a drive-by attack. Like, I run past this guy just like slashing wildly as I run, and then pounce on this next guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like it for even that. It just fits like a cat's like agility in a fight. Like they are on this person. Oh shit, they're on this person now because they pounced on them like afterwards. Like they just stabbed this person as they went by and they focused on it. I like it. I don't really have any changes to this.
Hell yeah.
How did you decide on 20 feet per turn?
That's just what it is in a lot of pounce abilities, I'm pretty sure.
It
Did you
is
just want to be like
immediately
most
makes
of your
me think
movement?
I thought 10 was too short. And like Zach said, for a lot of the big cats in the book, their pounce abilities are 20 feet. And I was like, that seems like a perfectly fine number. Yeah. And the Tabaxi already gets the feline agility, so movement's not really that much of a cost for them. And it just seemed to fit well enough in my head to just go for 20 feet.
20 immediately made me think of the monsters in the book, so I was like, that fits perfect. 20 was perfect to me.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest, you two have read the monster manual way more than I have, so I'm just not familiar with some of those stat blocks.
Tabaxi monk win? Dude, Tabaxi's always been the monk. Whenever you talk about like, oh, how fast can you move in one turn? Tabaxi monk is always the first word out of your mouth.
Tabaxi monk with like a 3-level dip in rogue. Like
yeah. 2-level dip for uncanny not uncanny dodge.
Level 3 is when you get your subclass. Sorry, I was thinking about penance, and I was like, yeah, I took a 3-level dip in rogue, but it was like, no, the 3rd level was for the subclass.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I'm happy to go ahead and move on from this one.
Yeah, no, other than removing that extra yor, I don't think that needs any changes.
Fucking got him, Adam. Hell yeah.
Hey.
All right, I think
got him
next again. Yeah, it's Adam.
Okay. Right. Oh, yes. Okay, nice. So this is potent venom. The prerequisite is that you are a Lizardfolk. Your mouth is full of potent venom sacs, giving you the following benefits. In addition to piercing damage equal to d6 plus your strength modifier, your bite now deals 1d4 poison damage. And you have resistance to poison damage and have advantage on saving throws against poison. That's it.
Honestly, I think this is weak.
You think it's weak? I was thinking that maybe it deserved to be a half feat, but like I was thinking about it and like so in the original Racial Feats UA, there's one for tieflings where you get resistance to cold and poison and advantage on saving throws against poison, and then you get like one other kind of ribbony feature, and that's a full feat. And so I thought that dealing extra damage on your bite was probably about as good as that ribbony feature. And resistance to poison damage is most of the goodness in resistance to cold and poison. So
the thing about though is that the resistance to cold is much better than resistance to poison.
Yeah,
I would say the resistance to cold is the heavier half of the resistance to poison and advantage on saving throws against poison of that feature. So I agree with Zach, because the bite is so niche. You kind of, for you to get the most out of this, you kind of have to build around it. So like you said, it is more of a ribbon feature than anything. And the meat of it is the resistance. I think this could go with like being a half feat and getting like a constitution bonus or something.
I was gonna say, if it's a half feat, I was going to give you the choice of strength or con. So
yeah, which makes sense because the bite is strength. But yeah,
is that how that works? Half feats get the additions.
Yeah, that's what makes it a half feat. You're still getting a feat, but you're also getting half of your ASI back.
Oh, I see.
That's what the difference is between a full feat gives you no stat bonus. A half feat gives you a +1 to 1 stat.
Oh, I see.
I disagree. Yeah. You're going to negate way more damage overall with poison. Yes, more monsters are going to deal poison more often than cold damage. But
poison resistance is so readily available in so many different ways.
There's a lot of other ways to get poison resistance that aren't a racial feat.
Yeah. Whenever I think of poison damage, I'm like, you can just easily half that somehow. Like,
I think a lot of the spells too that deal cold damage, like say you're fighting a mage, are gonna be better than the ones that deal poison damage. Like Cone of Cold is fucking destructive of a ability, and having resistance to that is great. There's not a lot of great poison analogs with magic anyway.
Poison resistance isn't bad by any means. It's just like the attacks that you take from it are definitely less, so it is going to proc more often, but which in turn is as nice as like a big one sometimes. But
it's not like it's still good. To be clear, it's not a ribbon ability, kind of like the bite is. The bite's a bit of a ribbon ability because the way that natural weapons work in 5e is a little bit weird.
When can you do the bite attack as a Lizardfolk?
Whenever you can attack.
Just as an attack. It's an unarmed strike.
Is it just like, can you do it as an extra thing, or is there any reason to use that over like an extra ability?
Or is it a natural weapon attack? Because there's different things.
Oh, fuck. God damn it. The Tabaxi get an unarmed strike. What's the lizard?
No, Tabaxi's also a weapon attack.
It is an unarmed strike.
No, Tabaxi is an unarmed strike.
It's a natural weapon which you can use to make unarmed strikes.
Oh, did they change it?
That's what it shows in the Volo's book that I have. Unless this is copied wrong, because mine's on the computer. But...
So
Roll20 or D&D Beyond agrees with you. Instead of bludgeoning damage, normal for. I feel like that language wasn't there before. I could have sworn it was like a natural, which could be used to make unarmed strikes.
So that's Lizardfolk monk making multiple unarmed strikes with a bite you can do.
Wait, what I'm seeing is your Fang Claw is a natural weapon which you can use to make unarmed strikes. Is that not the text you guys are seeing?
That's what I'm seeing. That's what it says on D&D Beyond. But I could have sworn it was different when the books were first printed. I wonder if they were allotted or if I'm just crazy. I might just be crazy.
Okay, because I'm seeing basically exactly the same text for Tabaxi and Lizardfolk.
Yeah. I just checked both of them. They have the same text. I just could have sworn they originally were not like that. But they could have read it to them, or I just remembered completely wrong. Maybe I'm just stuck on the fact that you can't use smites on them or something.
This makes me hella interested in a Lizardfolk monk just unarmed biting the shit out of people. But I still think it's a half feat, because if you're not that, how often are you actually biting things? And 1d4 is not as much.
So if you're not doing that, you're probably only using your bite for the bonus action thing you can do, and you can only do that once per short rest. So
yeah, the hungry jaws.
Yeah.
You gain temporary hit points. That's pretty cool. It's stronger than I thought it was then. I think I was confusing stuff with like Pathfinder, because Pathfinder gets weird about that stuff. With like natural weapons and stuff and how those work. But yeah, I think it could still go with being a half beat.
Yes, I still think it's a half feat.
I think that's reasonable. I was kind of on the fence about it. So I think that if you guys both seem pretty confident that you think it's a half feat, and Justin also seems to think that it's a half feat. So I think just adding a line like, and increase your strength or constitution by +1 up to a maximum of 20. Easy peasy.
The only other thing I'm thinking is that it would be, for a monk, it would be a jump to their highest martial arts die, essentially. But it is poison.
And it is only a D4.
Yeah. Well, it's the D6 plus the D4, and the monk's highest die is a D10. But a monk can also, like a Kensai monk, for instance, could use a D10 weapon. So it's not... Though you could use this with Flurry of Blows, so that's a little bit different.
Yeah. But outside of monk, like, yeah. This is just, I still think it's a half feat, because if it's monk, it's strong just alone. But then if you're anything else, you're like, why would I go this?
But also, ASI. So many enemies resist or are immune to poison damage.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
And especially when it's only a D4 that you're dealing, like, that's gonna get halved down to 1 3/4 of the time. Like,
yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. What if you instead of giving it the half feat status, if you made it just the bites poison ignores poison resistance, then is it a full feat?
The problem is ignoring poison resistance takes poison from bad to awesome, and that's too big of a jump, I feel.
Just to make a point
on a monk, it would be insane.
Just to make a point in the comments, but this one uses strength modifier, and most monks don't use dex for their armor strikes. The thing is that a monk changes all of their unarmed strikes to using dex. That includes the bites and claws.
Yeah.
So those would change as well, because they are unarmed strikes. So that doesn't affect anything. Though, to that point, it being a half feat that only gives you strength or con.
Yeah.
That's the, I mean, the monk would just take con. Yeah. But
yeah, I think it's valid for a half feat.
Does a monk's ability change it, or does it just allow you to use dex?
It allows you. So you can do one or the other. But because of unarmed defense, you generally want to have defense or dex.
Unless didn't you build that strength monk or whatever?
Yeah, unless you use Shawn's strength monk. In which case, it doesn't matter. You could just do this, but that's just if you're playing in my games. I'm sure other people have homebrewed strength monks, but
yeah,
I
think half feed strength con.
I think it also goes into the meme of Lizardfolks eating all their enemies that they kill. Just makes it a little bit easier on them to inject them with that venom.
I thought this was going to be a spit attack, and I'm always all for spit attacks.
Oh, dude, that could have been dope as fuck. Like a poison spit attack.
Yeah.
Just give them the ability to cast poison spray. Instead of it being a half feat, give them that ability. That'd be kind of
no. No, keep it as a half feat.
I think that'd be dope. I'm gonna be honest, it'd be pretty dope. And don't make it a spell, just to make it duplicate the abilities of poison spray.
Well, you can make your own feat for Lizardfolk.
Cantrip. How often could you do it?
At will.
Like a cantrip, yeah. But yeah, I like it. But yeah, I think we can go ahead and move on from this one.
Sweet.
All right. Next might be it's mine again. I don't know how I ordered these things. All right. So everybody who knows me knew I was gonna do this, and I was gonna make a goblin feat. So here we have Nilbog magic. Maybe if you know about Nilbogs, you know this is going. Prerequisite: you're a goblin. You've been touched by lingering Nilbog magic, causing frustration to any creature that would wish to harm you. You gain the following benefits. Buckle up. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to spend one of your hit dice. If you do, you instead take no damage, roll the hit die, and regain hit points equal to the number rolled, put your constitution modifier. Once you use this reaction, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Secondly, when a creature targets you with a weapon attack or spell effect, you can use your reaction to force the creature to succeed on a charisma saving throw or be charmed until the end of its next turn. If successfully charmed, the creature immediately forgoes its attack or spell. A creature charmed in this way is incapacitated and praises you until the charm ends. And once you use this reaction, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So basically, literally taking the Nilbog stop block and giving you an ability to place that on your goblin character. Though nerfed quite a bit.
Yeah, because the Nilbog would be pretty powerful as a playable character.
It absolutely would be, yes.
So I
don't think it's broken, Justin. I maybe I don't know enough about Nilbog lore in general to really be able to imagine this correctly. But the one thing is that the on a short rest on the first one seems strong, but also not too strong. Maybe
I was comparing it to Uncanny Dodge, which halves damage. You can do that whenever the fuck you want, and this is a reaction and only once for short rest. I was like, but it is all sources of damage.
I was gonna say. It's all the damage. It's like, oh, I'm in an ancient red dragon's breath weapon. 26d6? No, I think I'll take this 1d8 HP instead.
Which is hilarious to me.
It's like, that's hilarious, but I think it might be a little too good. But on the other hand, how often are you, how many times per day are you standing in a 26d6 area effect?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it. I think short rest is probably fine there. You negate one attack.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very good. It's definitely very good, but I don't think it's any better than evasion is.
It alarms me, but it doesn't make me think it's I think you can keep it, but first reading it feels a little alarming.
No, I totally understand that because the Nilbog
because of all damage. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one I was working with. I think the second one's perfectly fine because it's once per long rest. I think that's whatever.
Although you did spell forgoes wrong.
I did. Well, why doesn't Home Brewery have a spell check?
Why doesn't Home Brewery have a lot of things?
But yeah, I was thinking about that with the reducing it to 0 damage and regaining. I added the hit die so there was more expenditure than just a short rest, just so it was a little bit more expenditure. You still get the benefits of the hit die, of course, but it does require you to first of all have hit dice and you kind of forego some healing later on. But
And you are using them, so yeah, it does stop you from later. Because of the use of a hit dice, I'm kind of okay with the short rest. It's the no damage that's a little bit alarming for short rests, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, I totally understand. I will say that for a lot of like bigger effects that a creature might want to affect and use has no effect on. Like for instance, a poison cloud, for instance. You would negate the damage you would take if you failed to save, but you'd still be poisoned and you would still take the other effects. Or oh shit, what's another effect that has like a lingering?
Yeah, it's just doing.
If you fail a save, you'll still get knocked prone from a lot of like save effects and stuff like that. You're just negating the damage. It is 100% better than the rogue's uncanny dodge. But again, the uncanny dodge is whenever the rogue feels like it, as long as they have a reaction. Which, I mean, as a rogue, you're most of the time using that reaction to use your uncanny dodge. Because you're, for a lot of rogues, not all of them, you're going in and out of combat and trying not to get hit. So you're not really going to be using your, or not, my bad, not trying not to get hit, but not being close enough to your enemies to be able to like opportunity attack. That's not necessarily true. Some builds are going to try and focus on opportunity attacks because that's how you get the most damage as a rogue. I think there's some other possible limitations I can make. I was originally going to do a number of times equal to like half your proficiency modifier per long rest. But I just kind of settled on short rest because it was roughly the same thing.
Honestly, I prefer short rest to prof mod per long, or even half prof mod. So
because half prof mod, well, it doesn't come back in a short rest. It's more reliable. Short rest, you have to find an hour in the day to get it back.
Maybe make this take 2 hit dice, but you only get the effects of 1 hit die.
But that means you can't use it at level. Oh, well, but rules is written you'd never have this at level 1 as a goblin anyways, so that's actually probably fair.
Because just the I would allow it, but I would definitely have to monitor this because the short rest for no damage. Just imagine it's like you guys going through like a mini boss and you get hit by like a big ability, but then you short rest before a boss scenario or something, and then you get to negate another big ability at the boss.
This is definitely the sort of thing that I would want to play test a couple of times. Yeah. Like I think it's probably all right as written, but I would definitely want to see this in action a couple of times before I, like, for example, let somebody use it in an ongoing campaign.
Yeah. This just the no damage on a short rest is a little
Justin
bit.
Said, imagine jumping from the top of a cliff and taking no damage. Oh, you mean
being a monk?
Barbarian?
I was gonna say, yeah. You mean being a level 7 monk? Like,
I will say that there are a lot of really strong effects to come back a short rest. The obvious ones being 4 5th level spell slots for Warlock. Of course, it's level 20, so. But like even just like 1 5th level spell slot by 9th level, or even a 3rd level spell slot, could be comparable to this because you can cast Fireball with that. This obviously, I don't think there's. I mean, there are some spells that kind of negate effects, like Shield negates an attack, but attacks generally have less damage than saves. But there are strong, like Axe Church also comes back in short rest, and you get multiple of those as you level up.
Honestly, if this triggered off of you being attacked, I would be a lot less worried about it. But it's the fact that you can use it on a save, which is potentially going to be a huge amount of damage.
Yeah.
Like, if this triggered off of an attack, I think that this would be like, yep, let me put a rubber stamp on it, send it to the printing presses, this is totally fine. But because you can use it on a save, I'm a little worried about it.
Yeah, because it's all damage too. It's any damage, like Justin said, top of a mountain. If you were grabbed by a dragon or any sort of large creature and just dropped, and you haven't used this in a short rest, and they think you're gonna you just take no damage.
Not only do you not take damage, you heal from being dropped from height.
In that scenario, though, if you're fighting a creature that's going to do that to you, there's probably other things that they'd have done to you at that point where you wanted to use this already. The only way I can think of perhaps is maybe like a rock would do that to you without doing anything else to you that would really put you in a position to have to use this.
That's a pretty rock thing to do, yeah.
But no, I think this needs to be play tested before I can give a full judgment. But I definitely I'm definitely equally as trepidatious with this first ability, which is why I was thinking of other which is why I gave you the hit die thing, because the Nilbog thing is just you just roll a d6 and get it. Without a hit die, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to emulate the ability with as much of a 1-to-1 ratio as possible, but also keeping it balanced for a PC to have.
Sure. Yeah, there's a few ideas that I have, but I think you just need to play test it to see which of those ideas would fit.
I think 100% needs to be play tested. Honestly, that's the real thing with a lot of homebrew is that like to really like hone down things. Play testing is more than just like a one shot. It's like you want to see how this plays out through multiple sessions, and you can try and make things as mathematically as possible as you want, but the more mathematically in line you are with the rules, the more restrictive you're being with your creativity.
Yeah.
You can't make as fun features if you're only trying to stick with the mathematics of the game, because all you're really doing at that point is reflavoring existing mechanics.
Yeah, right, you're just shuffling numbers around and giving them different names.
It's interesting to me that this is a CR1 monster. You guys fought, you didn't, Adam, but in my campaign they fought one of these things, and it was like teleporting between a bunch of goblins they were fighting. Kind of like, have you played Dark Souls 3?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody who has, it was kind of like the Deacons of the Deep, where it like moves between enemies. And that I suppose makes sense in that context. As a PC, obviously it's a little bit more harsh. I want to use it though. I want to see how it plays out. If ever we're doing a one shot, I might play a goblin and use this. Wait, we did? When?
We know you'll play a goblin.
When do you think that you fought a goblin, Justin, in my campaign? When do you think that happened?
Especially one that I didn't fight.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
Yeah, we can move on. Next up, we have Justin's other one. Zach, you want to go ahead and read this?
Wait, sure. Zach's is the one after this too.
Okay, well, okay, you can read it.
Yeah, I don't want to read my throat too much.
So wait, Nature's Protection. Prerequisite is that you are a Firbolg. Increase your wisdom.
The parentheses, I don't know why those are there.
Increase your wisdom or strength score by 1 to a maximum of 20. When you use your hidden Sept trait, you cast Conjure Animals at level without concentration. They take their turn in initiative immediately after you. The spell ends at the start of your next turn.
I think this is kind of cool. My only thing about this is that this is a feat that you can get before you can get third level spells. But it is an explicit... I would say it's a nerf version because it only lasts a turn, but then it's also not concentration. So it's still kind of on par with other third level spells. Because you get this at 4th level if you want it, or 1st level if you're playing in one of those kinds of campaigns.
Thematically, this sounds cool to me.
Hey guys, I hate to interrupt, but there's a cat right behind me.
There is a cat. Hi, cat. What's your cat's name?
Hi, cat.
This is Cass.
Hey, Cass.
Hey, cat.
Right, yeah, fucking ignore me. Listen to Adam's headphones so you can hear us.
He doesn't like me.
Thematically, I think this is like cool. Functionality, I don't know if I would ever pick this up.
It's hard for me because it's pretty cool to be able to, because this is part of a bonus action where you turn invisible.
Yeah, I looked up.
And it's once per short rest as well. So my only issue is that this really slows down a game for a spell that's cast as a bonus action. That may be my only gripe about it, to be honest.
Because I could see this as like conjuring one animal, but if you use this to conjure like multiple, then it's getting funky.
It's
time to get funky.
Even if you just changed it to just one beast challenge rating 2 or lower, like instead of just the spell, like just the top part, so it's one part of the spell.
I was gonna say, what if you just summon a bestial spirit in your place? But I wanted to see I forgot what level that spell is. So I don't know if that's too strong.
I think he wants it to be able to like move and attack and stuff as well, though.
Yeah, Bestial Spirit would do that. Bestial Spirit's the Summon Beast spell that came out.
Shawn, if once we are worried about posting this to social media, Summon Bestial Spirit's not an option because it's not SRD.
I have ignored that because our stuff is free. So as long as we
right,
as long
as we don't have like a Patreon or anything, that's fine. Yeah.
Well, I think even if we had a Patreon, it wouldn't be that bad. But if we were to put Bestial Spirit or Summon Beast as a spell in the block so people knew what it was, that would be a problem. Like if we were just handing out wizard stuff without doing that. But if we did publish something, we'd have to go through. I'm making a note of all the stuff that breaks SRD so that if we ever do publish something, we can rearrange that stuff and make it.
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with the Summon Beast spell, but this looks like it would be better than Conjure Animals for sure. Just off of first glance.
Yeah, it'd be one creature, has a very defined stat block that you don't have to like slow down and choose what beasts. If you're playing that way, rules is written, the DM chooses the beast, just to be clear. But yeah.
Much to Matt Mercer's chagrin.
But yeah, I think if you swap this with instead summoning a Bestial Spirit and maybe making it last longer.
Because I don't know. I'm still not interested in this.
Yeah,
like taking it.
I'd be kind of interested if I was a Firbolg, to be honest. I like the idea of like disappearing and just having a Bestial Spirit take your spot. It just sounds kind of cool to me. What does he say here? This is mostly supposed to help give you a distraction for single turns. Still, I understand.
Yeah, I can see it. That's what I imagine it's for.
I could see that. I feel like there might have been better if that was your goal. I thought this was just like I was imagining you bursting into like popping out of existence and like your absence calls forth the power of nature in your place. That's kind of how I was imagining it. If you're just going for a distraction, I think there's much.
That's all I was imagining it.
Because there's a better spells for distractions. Maybe for instance, what if you use this, you just cast Sleep in your spot, targeting all creatures but yourself. So it's a good escape option if you're being chased. Or something.
Goodness!
What if you just gave it multiple spells? Like you could choose between like 3 different like escape or distraction type spells. Because I imagine this as a distraction, like Bestial Spirit or Summon Beast as one. Sleep is another, and then like
if you're giving the choice of 3 spells, I think this might not be a half feat anymore.
Maybe because you could do it every short rest.
But then it'd just be 1 spell per short rest. You just could choose which. It's basically just 1 spell slot per short rest. You go and cast on 3 specific spells.
Yeah.
And of like 3rd level or lower, which I don't think is particularly that strong.
I don't think it's egregious. I just think that maybe it's not a half feat anymore.
I think it would still be a half feat, depending on what spells you pick. If it's Summon Beast for the 1 turn, Sleep is kind of strong, and maybe one other one that's weaker, then I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what spells you would use for that, but
I don't think of what a good 3rd option there would be.
Probably something like Ensnaring Vines or whatever it's called, where like the area turns into difficult terrain.
Yeah, that could be okay.
Slow everybody down as opposed to knocking them out. That'd be more nature based, like which is kind of the goal here.
Yeah.
I do like what you're going for here. Like I said, I think this is what I was thinking of, where it's like taking an existing feature the race has and just adding something to it or giving it more uses that are beyond what it usually is. This is kind of more expanding on its use as opposed to giving it more uses, which I like. I like that idea. I think you're going in the right direction of like casting a spell in your place as well as going invisible. I just think there might be a better fit here. And I think either if you keep it as it is and maybe replace it with Bestial Spirit, you might want to add a Ribbon ability, or give it the options and just nothing else. That way it has more versatility as opposed to more potency.
He asked about you're worried about slowing gameplay. I'm not even as worried about slowing gameplay with Conjure Animals because I don't know. I can do Conjure Animals fine, but
you can.
It just feels a little clunky to be able to summon multiple of the things and also a 3rd level spell. I think keeping it to one like creature just makes it a little bit simpler and easier to digest.
Yeah. What you could do is there's not really a lot of precedent for that though. There is a spell for Summon Swarm. If you want the feeling of multiple creatures and you don't want to slow things down too much, you can do Summon Swarm, which I think is a spell. It might not be actually. That might.
I was gonna say that doesn't ring any bells.
Don't see anything about that.
There's Swarm of Familiars. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe I'll search Swarm.
There's Summon Draconic Spirit. Yeah, I don't see it. I must be just thinking of Swarm of Familiars or Familiar Swarm or whatever. But yeah, no, my greatest gripe wasn't it slowing down gameplay. I think the greatest gripe is that it's kind of underpowered. But slowing down gameplay was something I was thinking of. I think you could address both the conjure animals slowing down gameplay and it being underpowered with more versatility or a more potent option. Or neither and just adding a ribbon ability on top of everything else. What if you summon the highest CR for the conjure animals? I mean, at that point, why not just use Spectral Spirit? Right? I mean, if you're gonna limit it to just one creature anyway, just use summon beast and cast that third level.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that one.
There's no reason for it to still be conjure animals at that point.
I like the 3 spell option, but maybe that's just because I suggested it. For versatility and
I like it too. I think I would prefer changing this to Bestial Spirit and adding a ribbon ability. Just because it is just the one feature, and maybe the hidden step thing really depends on your build, how useful it is. So adding a ribbon ability that's just like generally more useful would be helpful. This already makes hidden step more applicable to more builds, which is good. And I think the versatility would accomplish the same thing. So I'm fine with either one of those options. I think that's something that we can go into more detail on outside the podcast, but
as a little cherry on top after, so let's say we change it to Summon Beast. What if you also just get, some temporary hit points when you do it? Not a lot, maybe just, D6 temp HP?
That would make it more potent. I think I would still prefer, a ribbon ability, something additional.
Yeah, I think that's less thematic with it.
Yeah.
So I guess for, he's thinking of more of a distraction thing that's kind of just, bulking yourself.
Yeah. Maybe just add because they already get speech of Beast and Leaf. Maybe something add some sort of root ability based on that. Maybe they just get the ability to talk to beasts, which isn't super powerful, but it's cool to have.
What level spell is Speak with Animals?
1.
Okay, so perpetual first level spell. I think that's fine.
Yeah, and just have that as a ribbon ability on top of this. I don't think it's necessarily busted. It just gives you more. It just gives you more ability to communicate with the world as opposed to accomplishing greater things. And with this, it has good usability. But yeah, I think that's something that we can hammer out beyond the podcast. I think it's appropriate for us to kind of move on from this. I think we've touched on the few things that we think could do. We'll come to a decision later. Doesn't have to be right now. But I think there's definitely potential here, and I like what's been gone for here. So really underpowered shit. I was worried this was going to be too strong. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. This is Zach's. So he just got back. Perfect timing. We just got to the next page.
Max was barking. All right. This is Ancient Curse Channeling, and I need to workshop the name, but this is what I came up with. Its prerequisite is being a Kenku. The Ancient Curse has become a useful magical source you can channel. You gain the following benefits. Increase your intelligence or wisdom score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Once per long rest, you can cast the Hex spell at first level. A target affected by the spell in this way also has disadvantage on athletics saving throws.
So, do you mean strength saving throws, or do you mean athletics checks?
Athletics checks, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so disadvantage on athletics checks. Also, you should probably specify what ability you're using to cast Hex.
Oh yeah.
So for Fey Touched and Shadow Touched, they specified that it's cast using the ability that you increased with this feat. So that's language that already exists that you could use here. Why didn't you include Charisma as an option?
I don't know. It could totally be an option.
Okay.
So the one thing it says to me is that if the goal is to get the sufficient athletics checks, depending on what you're using Hex for, you can already accomplish that.
Yeah.
So
this would be an addition to the check or the skill that you already get to choose. You would get always athletics and to choose another skill on top of that.
Well, to be clear, the two main things that people use Hex for, well, the main thing is strength already. That's what most people use Hex for. And then the other one is either Dex or Wisdom. I forget which one it is. Because those are the two that typically have the most common usage in and out of combat. I think it's Dex. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh,
probably Dex.
Maybe
Dex would make more sense.
Sorry, maybe I misunderstood Hex, like, in general.
Oh, did you think it was like a specific skill?
Yeah, I thought it said skill, not ability.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That makes sense. So I had a thought about this. I had two different thoughts. One, you could have it affect saving throws, which is something that people think Hex does, which it doesn't do. So depending on the ability score that you choose for Hex, it could also affect saving throws on top of its ability checks, which is a little strong. The other thing, though, I was thinking, because the whole flavor of this is channeling the curse that Kenkos have, where they can't fly. Reduce movement speed, which would include fly, like make them move a half speed. Or you can, instead of going half speed, target specifically fly, which make it niche, and say that their flying speed is 5. So as low as you can go without being 0.
I'd be fine with just movement in general, because reading through the cursed lore and kind of the Kenku lore in general when I was going over it, I'm fine with just movement speed, because it was supposed to be a hindrance to kind of your physical ability in general was the idea.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think that, like, casting Hex and whoever's targeted by it also has their movement speed cut in half for the duration. Like, I think that would fit pretty well with this.
Yeah, so we just have yeah, I like that as it is. I don't know if we necessarily need anything else on top of that.
This is
once per long rest.
I was gonna say, this is a little weak when compared to things like Shadow Touched and Fey Touched, which give you a first and second level spell that you can do once per long rest each. But
I'd be fine for looking for a second level spell, but I don't really know.
I'm honestly not sure that you need a second level spell. Maybe you bump this up to once per short rest.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I think once per short rest gives this about the same power as you'd be getting from a first and second once per long rest. And Hex is kind of the sort of thing that you want to have out every combat anyways. So having it on a short rest feels really good. As a warlock who casts Hex sometimes, feels really good.
I like that, and then you keep it concentration.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I kind of imagine this as like if there's one person you could hex them before they leave, or if you wanted to start the combat with it, and the reducing physical like ability, changing that to movement fits for me. Like if somebody's trying to run away from you, they're going at half speed at that point.
Even if you cast it at the beginning of combat, you can still stop somebody from running away with it because you can move Hex as a bonus action once people die.
Yeah. I like changing it to a short rest, keeping the concentration and everything on it. That fits. And adding the movement.
Yeah, I like it. I like the I consider doing a spell based one kind of like this, where it's like you get the spell, but with this tweak. I like that
Mhm.
idea of like
Yeah.
a spell has some sort of additional benefits to specific creatures because of the way that they
Yeah.
use it and what they can channel when using it. I consider doing something like that for the Genasi, but I didn't flesh it out well enough.
Oh man, dude, I love Ganassi so much.
I considered giving the Genasi like a wild shape for like turning into an elemental. But then
Oh man.
I was like, does this step on the Moon Druid too much? Uh,
But the
uh,
Moon Druid deserves to be stepped on. So
yeah, but that's like when you think of the Moon
Fuck
Druid,
wild shape.
that's fair. When you think of the Moon Druid, it's like, oh yeah, they wild shape a lot. But like the one like super unique thing they get is wild shaping specifically into elementals, as opposed to
right.
just more potent wild shape. But yeah, I like this. I like expanding the hex to do more things. I think that there there's a lot of fun to be had there. And I mean, the spell system I think could be used in a lot of different ways that's not being used in, and I think Feats is one of the ways that Wizards accomplished that. I'm like, I'm cool with this.
Yeah, I like those changes. Those accomplished the things that I wanted with this. So
Perfect.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
then,
and could add charisma as well. Does
yeah.
just a spellcasting ability is
Yeah,
fine.
I was mostly asking because I was wondering if there was a reason why you specifically excluded it, or if you.
I was just thinking like the way that you got this as like living with the curse thing was either you were wise enough that you learned to use it, or you were smart enough that you learned to use it. Not that you really charismatically brought this curse out of you.
Okay.
So
Well,
most reason.
I would say that like the Kenku being cursed thing is like straight out of the Sorcerer Handbook of like using the thing that you're born with as part of your power. So I think charisma fits in that way.
That's fine. It's not how I think of charisma a lot of the times.
Yeah, charisma's a weird one because it's like it's flexed to a lot of different because bards have it. And it's like, oh, obviously bards have it, and then like
it's hard for me to get behind charisma and magic still.
Yeah, I think charisma is definitely the worst defined caster stat.
I don't know. I think it's pretty well defined. I think people just have I don't know. I get why people have this weird like because the way it's used in the game and especially the way it's memed on makes it seem so much more different than it's really meant to be, even written in the book explicitly.
Right. If you have to spend a page and a half telling the charisma stat is not about a person's charisma, then you aren't really using it effectively, I think. Like, I understand what they mean by charisma, but if you have to spend a page and a half explaining why, well, we don't really mean like literal charisma. We mean more like presence, you know?
You can say the same thing. No, you can say the same thing about wisdom. Wisdom to many people has a completely different connotation than it does in D&D. Where D&D, wisdom is like your sense of your surroundings for a lot of things. Whereas wisdom in real life is like the sage Yoda type character who knows all of the wisdom of the world. Like, I think the charisma and wisdom have the same issue.
Ways.
Yeah, and charisma is both ways as well. But I don't think people aren't as stuck up on wisdom, like not meaning what we use it colloquially in the world. Because
I think that's only true because people have been having that argument about intelligence versus wisdom for like the 50 years that D&D has been out, whereas charisma has only been a casting stat for like less than half of that.
That's fair. Well, I mean, half of that's still like 2 decades.
Yes, but third edition and fourth edition were much less. They had much less like pop culture penetration. People heard about versus. I'm saying it didn't have pop culture penetration in that normies didn't hear about it. Normies didn't hear about the arguments that D&D players were having around 3.5 and 4th edition tables, whereas normies hear about 5e arguments.
I'm fine with adding charisma.
Cool. Glad we got there.
We talk about everything here. It's not just homebrew. We talk about the philosophy. We talk about what we picture things. We talk about the flavor, right? That's just part of it. Understanding how everybody perceives the different ability scores is important when you're talking about, the flavor of the things that you're making. So, I am enamored by charisma and the way that it's used in D&D. I shove charisma into so much shit. I just
also,
like the idea of it.
To your credit, I think that your explanation of charisma as a casting stat is the most succinct and best explanation I've ever heard of it.
Well, I'll take it. All right, we can move on from this.
I was gonna say, are we ready to move on to my last feat?
Oh, did we actually make it to the last one?
Yeah.
Oh snap! 9 lives. All right, go ahead, Adam.
The stream's still lagging, so you haven't scrolled yet on my screen. Okay, there we go.
Oh.
So 9 lives. The prerequisite is that you're a Tabaxi. Tabaxi are particularly adept at finding their way out of no-win scenarios with a smile on their face and a pack full of treasure. You gain the following benefits. Increase your Constitution score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You have advantage on death saving throws. If you take damage while at 0 hit points, instead of suffering a death saving throw failure, immediately make a death saving throw.
So niche, but I love it.
I don't know if I can call this niche though, right? Death is something that happens to everyone. But it's just very
it's a way that it's like a Tabaxi thing.
Yeah, and you literally can't use this unless you're dying, which is a very specific thing. I guess in that way it is pretty niche. Justin says, "Yo, yo, yo!" Why wasn't Raygon Tabaxi with his feet? Well, to be fair, Raygon, get fucked.
Get fucked, Four Eyes.
So, I think it's clear for me the way it's written. But if you're critically hit while down, 1 save or 2 saves?
My intent. I hadn't thought about it. Give me about 10 seconds. I want to read the text of the.
So one of the other reasons that I'm thinking it's niche is because it is death, like just death, like that's all you're getting is death saving throws. Like if you take this, that's it.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Unless you're dying.
It's nice.
Hey,
if you end up getting knocked
out, you get plus 1 to con.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think this is. I'm stamping it now as fine.
What do you mean 4 eyes? He doesn't have glasses. Penance has a monocle. He's fucking. Who said 4 eyes?
I said get fucked 4 eyes because it's the name of a song.
I missed that.
I didn't hear that either.
No, I agree. I think it's strong where it's used.
Yeah.
But you don't get anything from this feat besides Constitution buff, unless you're dying. Which is a pretty dire spot to be in.
Yeah, the thing that I think is the strongest about it is, I mean, like the advantage is strong, but the fact that you get the advantage on if you take damage under 0 and you have to make the saving throw, you still have advantage on it, which is a little bit crazy.
That is crazy. I think first and foremost, this definitely directly translates into exactly what you're trying to do with it being called 9 lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But is 9 lives strong? It is. The interesting thing about this is that, like you said, if you get hit, you go from I'm taking a death save to I am very unlikely to take a death save. Or a failed death save, sorry.
I would almost be willing to make it without advantage at that one, but that seems wordy and counterproductive to the rest of it.
Yeah.
What'd you come up with on your answer about the crit, Adam?
I'm not sure. My instinct is to say that you would still only make the 1 save, because honestly, once you have advantage on death saves, making more death saves is a benefit. But I'm honestly not sure. Maybe on a crit, you still take 1 automatic failure. You don't make a save. Maybe. That's kind of wordy to put in here, but I think that's I think that might be all right, because it's like critical hit, you still take a failure. You aren't like totally safe, but you've got much better chances than anyone else.
I think that's too much to add. To like, I'm not sure how you would word. If you could word that correctly, sure. I think you just make one save, and then if you fail it, you take the 2.
As written, that would be how it is.
Yeah,
it's currently written, which is what I thought the intention was.
I think it's strong, but fine. Honestly,
I think I am on board with the don't have advantage when you get hit thing. And I think that could be easily just. I think there is a way to phrase that. I can't think of the top of my head right now. That was too clunky.
The way to phrase it is immediately make a death saving throw with disadvantage.
Oh yeah, that would cancel it out.
That would make it a straight roll.
So counterproductive to the rest of it. I think it's fine. It's a 50-50 rule anyways, even if you're rolling with advantage. That can be rough.
Well, rolling with advantage, it's 75.
Yeah.
I think adding that when you take a hit while at 0, you make it at disadvantage, which because of the previous sentence means that you make a straight roll. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, I think...
And then probably a sentence specifying what happens when you get crit.
The reason I don't like having advantage when you get hit is because it makes any creature that's trying to make sure you die with damage have their odds of killing you decreased when they hit you.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I was going for.
It is 9 lives. I think the advantage is fine all around.
I think the advantage is fine when it's not proc by damage.
I understand the concern. I'm not sure if it's right one way or the other. My gut says that this is fine just because of how yo-yo-y the meta of 5e is anyways.
I just want to point out how strong it is to be hit and then not take a save or fail, but then make a save. Like this, I'm nerfing it, but I'm nerfing it to a very, very strong state still.
Like, I totally think that. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I know you're not. Zach is the more emphatic about not doing it. I'm just like,
I just don't like how counterproductive the rest of it. No, I know. It's just counterproductiveness to the advantage already seems weird.
That doesn't seem counterproductive to me. That seems directly in line with what it's trying to do to
me. Okay, wait. What if we just change the second line so that instead of it saying you have advantage on death saving throws, it says you have advantage on death saving throws made at the end of your turn?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
you
make death saving throws at the beginning of your turn.
Right, because if you roll a nat 20, yes. Yeah. So what if we just change that sentence to you have advantage on death saving throws made at the start of your turn.
Or
that way it only
Yeah.
There's very few
they're not going to hit you on your turn.
I was trying to think how would somebody attack you on your turn while you're unconscious?
Yeah.
It would.
Well, there is one way. If you're a Zealot Barbarian, you don't get knocked down when you're unconscious.
That's true. Because you are still making death saves. Then
yeah, you can provoke on your turn, and then
I think that's a niche enough case. And also, thank you for the idea for a Zealot Barbarian Tabaxi with the 9 lives feat. I think that just changing that sentence to you have advantage on death saving throws made during your turn. That way you've got advantage on most of them that you're making. But when somebody like kicks you while you're down, you've still got a good chance of coming out of that interaction for the better. But it's not 75%. I think that's pretty reasonable.
I like that. We got that.
And that makes the wording a little easier. You don't have to have, you've got advantage on this and then disadvantage on this, so it's always a straight roll. As much as I appreciate the mathematical logic of that, as a reader, it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
I like that. I like this one a lot. It's niche because it's specifically a Tabaxi, it's specifically on death, but it's so good.
Make the damage once per turn. That's my huge change for it. The problem with that is that most things that could that are going to be killing you can attack you more than once on a turn, and it's like that at that point I would feel would be counterproductive. to what the thing's trying to do. Because like if I'm fighting a dragon who has 5 fucking attacks and I use my one thing to turn it into a roll, like, is that really saving me 50% of the time? It's not. I'm just gonna die anyway.
I'd even say if you wanted to, you could add the crit thing. Just crits ignore this or something.
Honestly, so in the wording for how damage at 0 hit points works, if the damage is from a critical hit is just a completely separate sentence, I think that's fine here. Just add a second sentence to that bullet point. If the damage is from a critical hit, instead suffer 1 death saving throw failure.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay, like, so no save whatsoever. You just reduce it down to 1. All right. So this is specific to my campaign, but I don't allow crits to do more than 1 failure. So we'd have to work something out like that if someone wanted to use this feat. But that's for
in your campaign. The crit would probably just still be make 1 roll.
Yeah. No, I like this. I think that it being a half feet fits. That really it might like, let's say there's like a jar of like feet stuff inside, right? And like you put the death saving throw and then the change damage and death saving throw there, and it's like right at the tip, and you add the half feet thing. It's like, just, you know how when you fill a cup of water, it's like bubbling to the top. That's what this is in my head. It's like,
especially because it's only
one more drop, it might be too strong.
Well, and for me, this kind of had to be a half feat, just because if it's not a half feat, it does literally nothing until you're on the floor dying.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the gameplay of that. Like, at least this way, it's like, ooh, I've got a 17 constitution. Let me grab 9 lives. Thank you very much.
Man, the Tabaxi monk is becoming much, much more powerful with these feats that we're giving them, I tell you.
Honestly, I really want to do a Tabaxi Barbarian now. Tabaxi Zealot Barbarian with 9 lives.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to do a Lizardfolk with the poison bite.
Oh my god, these are giving me such good ideas for characters.
Did all the feats we make monks even better?
I'm trying to think. Your Nilbog one is just as good on a monk as it is on anybody else.
The Kenku's not that
honestly
crazy.
I mean, giving a monk the hex spell, pretty fucking good. D6 on all your attacks.
That is pretty good. And they're really good. And they're really good at the concentration checks on hex as well if they need to.
Okay. Nature's Protection isn't really any better on a monk than it is on anybody else. The Nilbog thing isn't really that great on a monk. Potent Venom, yes, phenomenal. Grimalkin Pounce, yes, amazing. Amphibious Persistence, I don't think that's particularly great on a monk.
Our bonus to it kind of does, because you don't provoke when you move around, and you can move around freely as a monk so much more.
But only when you're in the water, so I think that's a fine restriction.
Yeah.
And then Imposing Build, fuck, monks are good at grappling, like...
Yeah.
Okay, and then Punishing Pursuit. I don't think that Punishing Pursuit is particularly... I mean, it's fine on a monk, but I don't think it's, like, particularly good for... So I think we're about 50-50. Half of these feats are great for monks.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah. I think it's just the nature of the monk, though, probably, though, right?
Well, and also, I think that's totally fine. Are 9 feats for 8 different races. Like, it's not like you can stack any of these up. And also, it's not like any of these races, other than the Tabaxi, were great monks to begin with.
True.
So the whole message of this stream: play a monk in your next campaign.
Play a monk and maybe think about being a cat.
Did someone say monk subclasses for the next episode?
I mean, honestly, the monk has some pretty, they beefed it pretty hard with the PHB subclasses for the monk. So,
they beefed it.
I don't know. I've got a job interview tomorrow, so I'm not sure I want to commit to something big like a subclass for next week.
So that'd be a lot for 1 week.
Yeah. What if?
Do you have the list, Shawn?
Yeah. Do we have anything on the list that we haven't talked about yet?
I think we do. Let me go to. I actually can't open it because I can't get the Discord. Actually, I can't because
the list is in Google Drive, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is in Google Drive, isn't it? So what we've done so far, we've done spells, then permanent spells. We've done monsters, we've done legendary items, we've done alternative class features. Now we've done racial feats. We've touched on pretty much every aspect of the game.
Except classes and subclasses.
Except classes and subclasses. So let's look at the episode themes and see what we have marked off here. We still have traps.
Traps. Oh, goodness.
No, the only other thing besides traps on the list that we haven't done is subclasses.
Well, okay, maybe we don't restrict ourselves to monk subclasses, but I think that I could probably come up with a subclass by next week.
I want to continue the trend of us doing specific things, because a lot of the struggle with a lot of these things is just like knowing where to start. What am I really inspired by? And I think if we put a restriction, it makes it easier to come up with our ideas.
Okay.
So
what if we do the variant race thing?
What about Sid's? Well, we just did racial feats.
Yeah, we just did racial
today.
feats. Is kind of my hold up, is like we just did race stuff, and I think feats definitely scratched that itch for at least a week. We've been doing it for 7 weeks now. I think we could finally do some subclasses.
Okay. Well, what if instead of picking one particular class that we all have to riff on, what if we pick like a theme?
That's what I was gonna say. That's exactly what I was thinking.
So, what's a theme?
I was thinking we can all do something that relates to water in some way, either the sea,
yeah,
or
okay,
just anything that relates to water in any way.
So, nautical subclasses for tomorrow.
Oh my god!
Tomorrow, next week.
Tomorrow.
If we were doing this tomorrow, I would not have the time. But no, so nautical subclasses. It
doesn't have to be nautical necessarily. It doesn't have to like be themed on the open sea. It could be like water elemental themed. Just as long as it has something to do with water. Maybe you're some sort of character that I don't know. Nautical is like the first thing that comes to my mind too. But like maybe you're like a protector of a sacred lake. Or like of the waters of the land, like lakes and rivers and stuff, as opposed to the sea itself. If maybe even like rain. Maybe you're like some variant on a storm thing that's like specifically about rain and hail and ice. Just anything water related specifically. What was that?
Would mud count?
Sure, why not?
Swamps.
That sounds cool. Swamps.
Yeah. Okay.
That's forest or water, but yeah, I mean,
I've got the wheels turning, so I think that by next Wednesday, I'll probably have something.
So that's what we're doing next week. Next week you can come by, see us. We're all going to make
Mud Paladin.
That sounds so cool. We're gonna make one subclass each. If we get through all the subclasses in one podcast is to be seen. We might do a 2-week thing. It's very possible.
Clean.
It might be Oath of the Queen. That's pretty great. Oath of the Sty. Yeah. So this might be a 2-parter. This next subject, but we'll see how far we go through the next thing. But I'm excited. I like the idea of doing a subclass. I've never done a water-themed one, so...
Your idea was not mud, Justin. Get out of here.
All right. So definitely catch us next week. We're here Wednesdays on Twitch, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I think it's still daylight time. Yeah, it's not fall yet. We'll be posting on Friday to all the social media, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. And we're just, we're having fun out here, guys. Anything you guys want? Any closing statements you guys have? Anything you want to say about the fun we're having here, guys?
I'm having a great time. This is seriously helping me think about D&D in depth more day by day.
Yeah.
Justin, you'd better fucking be here next week.
Yeah, Justin, you better fucking be here, man. I'm not even sure you're part of the cast anymore at this point. It's been 4 episodes now.
We've done more episodes without you than we have with you.
It's crazy. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and sign off here, guys. I did the proper intro this time, so I have to do the corny outro this time.
We need a different corny outro.
Wait.
You guys are more than welcome to come up with ideas for our corny outro.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh,
he's here.
what up?
What up?
Oh, what's up, Justin? Do
I
the corny.
should be back on Wednesday.
No, do the corny outro. Tell him to do the corny outro.
Do the corny outro.
The corny outro?
Do it.
Yo, hold on. Give me a sec. Give me a sec here. I gotta think corny.
No, the one that we have.
What?
Yeah, the one.
What do you
that
mean
we
we
always
have?
do.
What do you mean? What do we have?
Oh, right.
What,
Justin
a corny
hasn't been
outro?
on the show.
What?
Have you not been on the show to see the outro?
No, I don't remember our corny outro.
Oh,
my God. Well, here, I'll do the corny outro then.
All right. You're on the hook next week, Justin.
What's lost has been found, and what's found must be remembered. See you next week.